Well, welcome everyone. This is the latest Spaces session where we'll be actively discussing GameSwift joining the Fetch.ai Foundation. Hopefully, you are as excited about this as I am. Peter, from the Fetch.ai Foundation, Pan, who is the recent member, he's the CEO of GameSwift and most recent member of the Fetch.ai Foundation, and Maria, who is a business development director over here at Fetch.ai. Welcome, everyone. Feel free to lead with a short introduction of yourselves. I believe the community, especially the newer members, would be ecstatic to hear. And Peter, feel free to lead. It will be a pleasure to hear you speak once again.
Okay, so let me start with the introduction. My name is Peter Busch. I work as the global product owner for decentralized ledger technologies at Robert Bosch here in the area of Stuttgart, responsible for really all new technologies when it concerns decentralized technologies, connected services in cars, car-to-X technologies, tokenization in mobility, and all that around. I'm a computer scientist and with an MBA, and as well, I'm chairing the Fetch.ai Foundation. To that later, maybe more.
Thank you for that brilliant introduction. And next we have Pan Paragraph. Pan, feel free to lead with an introduction. It will be a pleasure to hear you.
Yes, welcome everybody. Before I start, I'm kindly requesting to add also Tom Kowalczyk, our CTO, as the speaker.
We have, yes. Tom Kowalczyk has. It just it takes a little bit of time for Spaces sessions to reflect some of the speaker editions and co-hosting editions. Not sure why it's so slow, but everything has been resolved.
Okay, then it is perfect. So, my name is Wojtek, but since my let's see Web3 profile, Web3 name is Pan Paragraph. This means Mr. Lawyer in Polish. That's the country that I come from. Before I moved into the crypto in 2020, I used to be a judge in criminal court, but I left my judge career to expand and to build my own startup in the blockchain environment. I founded Startera, which turned out to be the biggest fundraising platform on the Terra blockchain before its collapse. Then since we had a very talented developers team, we pivoted into GameSwift in 2021. So till today, it's 3 years of development of gaming infrastructure. That's we put most of our effort, and recently, back in December last year, we officially announced to work on GSWIFT AI, which is the first gaming launcher to allow gamers to share their computing power for the sake of AI and machine learning. And now I'm really proud to say that we merged and joined our forces with Fetch.ai to pursue this goal. We are a proud member of Fetch.ai Foundation, and I can't wait to tell you more about this partnership.
Perfect, and thank you very much. It's always interesting to see the contrast between past careers and current Web3 careers. And Tomko, how about you go next? It will be a pleasure to hear an introduction of yourself.
So hello everybody, my name is Tom. I'm responsible for everything related to technology at GameSwift. I have the pleasure to work with Wojtek from almost 4 years now. And I also have a pleasure to cooperate and to work with Maria from the beginning when we started talking about possibilities how our projects could cooperate. So hello everybody once again.
Hello and welcome. Thank you for your introductions. And Maria, feel free to go next. I believe that there's a lot of community members who would love to hear an introduction as well.
Yes, hi everyone. Again, Maria Minarikova, Director of Business Development at Fetch.ai. Also working with Fetch.ai Foundation. I'm on the board together with Peter, who is our chairman. So I've been with Fetch from the very beginning. It's been a really interesting, development all these years. And I'm really glad that we are now speaking about real world use cases now in the industry of gaming, which is quite interesting and a little bit new, I think, for for our agents. So it's really great to see that, and I'm actually looking forward to Peter telling us how that can be interesting together with some other industries like mobility and metaverse and so on, and how we can really do like sector coupling, how we can really bring all these different industries together using the same technologies and really evolving them. So I think that's going to be a really cool podcast today, and so looking forward to it.
Perfect. I'm looking forward to it myself. And ladies and gentlemen, let me just give you a brief overview. We have around 12 questions that we've selected across our various communities, and a lot of the first questions people had are around an overview of the integration, or rather an introduction to the partnership, because it's not obvious how agents and gaming converge. And I'd love to frame this question and direct it towards Peter and towards Tomko. And Peter, maybe you can answer first. Would you care to provide an overview of why GameSwift and Fetch.ai are such a perfect couple?
Certainly, would love to. Right. So with this, I think with this partnership and with this very interesting combination of the agents, AI, and maybe industrial technology use cases in the future, some of my major visions come true. Because I think since I started, or I would say since I started my computer science career, I was always wondering and looking into the gamification effects that certain games have, that certain effects on the gaming industry have to normal lives, but as well in the working life. So these days, when I look at some gaming platforms and some other things, I look always at the effects, what they have to the people that attract them, that they addict them for a good part, and what kind of effects, the psychological effects gaming has really to the working life. And so if you have some kind of gamification effects really in your work life, and that makes work more fun, helps you better to achieve your work, your tasks, and so on. And if you look at different use case, maybe in driving, something gets really better to find a route if some gamification effects there always comes into play. And so just for the generic gamification part, but when it really comes to games or to any other things, and you combine that now with tokenization, with like monetization of your gaming effects, and combine that with the working tasks, what you have to do, then really new interesting use cases come up. And then again, combined that with the possibilities what we see today in AI, machine learning, getting lots of data, combine this and use this for certain things just from the computer science aspect. This is highly, highly interesting. And to the sector coupling, maybe we can come later a little bit more.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that comprehensive answer. And Tomko, I'd like to throw the ball over at your court, your side of the court. I'd love to hear your perspective on, from a technical perspective as well, why do you believe that Fetch.ai and GameSwift can harmonize so closely and so well?
Yeah, of course. Previously, before we started to talk with Fetch.ai as a GameSwift, we spent some time about researching and thinking how we can get involved into the AI industry, because we already had a big number of community members, which are mostly gamers or players. We also provide for them the GameSwift Launcher. It's a cross-platform application which is responsible for providing always up-to-date version of a game they played. And so we realized that these players have a very good, very powerful hardware. And this time, not every time this hardware is used for the 100% of their possibilities. So we decided to talk as a GameSwift with Fetch.ai, because I also spent some time with Fetch.ai documentation trying to find out what is possible, because we already have some ideas to cooperate. And I put my fingers on the keyboard and try to write a couple of lines of the code in Python using SDK from Fetch.ai, trying to connect it with what we have to offer. And we spent some time with Wojtek to talk about how these things which are possible we can use with our community and also provide the value for Fetch.ai community. And we make some decision. I believe that we talk about this decision more broadly later. But from my perspective, we was looking for some architecture which provide the agent functionalities. And that was what we find in the Fetch AI ecosystem.
Oh, it's a pleasure to see that you found value in these agentic workflows and agents. I believe that there's certainly quite a lot of value to be had within the gaming ecosystem. Even something as simple as an NPC, which are such a common part of gaming, can be easily overhauled with agents. So there's quite a lot of applications to be had, both within the game itself, but also across the infrastructure layer. Speaking of infrastructure, GameSwift is a bit of an expansive project. You have your GameSwift launcher, but you also have the GameSwift ID in the analytics. You also have your own chain. I'd love to shift the ball over to Pan and ask you, Pan, would you care to provide an overview, a comprehensive overview of GameSwift? Because a lot of the community members are kind of Fetch AI native, and they might not be intimately familiar with the project, but I'm sure they're curious.
Yes, obviously. So from the very beginning, we aimed to develop a one-stop shop experience for both gamers and Web3 gaming developers. That's quite a challenge, as you know, as as our major objective was to develop, first of all, the launcher to easily launch Web3 games like on Steam. Secondly, to provide user-friendly infrastructure for the players to not even feel that they are playing in the blockchain environment. Furthermore, we wanted to build, let's say, low-cost blockchain for those gaming developers who really appreciated our input into their development. A lot of them, since they are happy with cooperation in our launcher or SDKs, they want more. So we wanted to provide them also their own DApp specific chain experience. So GameSwift on the blockchain layer is not aiming to build, like, I don't know, bigger layer 2 than the other blockchains. We rather prefer to build the diversified ecosystem of DApp specific chains, where every single gaming developer, instead of, let's say, providing liquidity to only one chain, they are able to build their own DApp specific chain with their own native token to maximize their revenue with this regard. And that's what GameSwift is allowing them to do so. So having considering that like 90% of our roadmap has been already delivered, we've been seeking how to what we are actually missing, and that was the AI component. We've already delivered the launcher, and we wanted to make this launcher special. And when I started to seek for some market opportunities, I start comparing GameSwift with, I don't know, with Epic Games Launcher, with Steam. I believe that if we want to build and to become pioneers, we need to offer something which is brand new. And that's the moment when AI technology started their massive upside movement, and I realized that there is literally hundreds of thousands, millions of gaming computers worldwide. These are pretty powerful piece of hardware with powerful GPUs, CPU, with powerful processors and graphic cards, generating a lot of GPU and CPU. And then I came to the conclusion that building the ecosystem, the biggest decentralized of computing power, where every single gamer, once they stopped playing a computer game, their hardware can still operate and actually monetize this let's say hardware. That was the aha moment for me. So that's how we proceeded, and that was in December last year to work on GSWIFT AI, which is a natural component of our gaming launcher. And in my opinion, that's a perfect opportunity to bring and to onboard a lot of users outside Web3. To be honest, Web3 gaming is still early in its development. To develop quality AAA games, you really need some time. So having a killer feature which allows you to onboard people who are not necessarily downloading the gaming launcher just to play games, but to monetize the gaming computers, that's a perfect way of onboarding millions of users worldwide, and that's the market opportunity that we are targeting. The missing element was to how to monetize this computing power, how to let's say gather to create a big bank of computing power coming from gaming computers, but how to transfer this value back to the B2B, to the other businesses, and that's exactly the place where Fetch.ai stepped in. And yeah, like I said, I'm really looking forward for to deliver what we are building and what we are cooking behind the scenes.
So thank you for that comprehensive answer. Edge computing has always presented a significant opportunity, and whenever you can find idle GPU or CPU that's close to the point of interest, that can also act as a major latency reductor. So there's quite a lot of kind of cyclomatic optimization that those that can access this effectively GPU marketplace can gather. And Peter, I'd love to hear your take on this. I'd love to hear on beyond extracting idle computing. Are there any kind of AI capabilities that you prefer to see kind of embedded within the gaming ecosystem? And this doesn't have to be just agent bound, but it can be both agent and AI capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Just when I think in my mobility space, for example, we have a lot. Besides, we have a lot of computing power these days as well in our cars, because we are looking at really sophisticated tasks to have on the car to use our computing power there as well. And on the other side, when it comes to AI, what we need to learn is how to use AI correctly, how to use the data in the future to build up these large language models that we need, how to come to that data. And what we see these days, it's not enough anymore to collect data just from internet sources or so. You see from the big ones that maybe in 2-3 years we do not have any more data and then to collect for building up large language models. We need new data. And for that kind, so I see some of kind very interesting cross-section of gaming, gamification, AI, and the mobility spaces. And this is not really only selected to mobility. This can go to any other industrial sector as well. You can select or you can collect data in a gamification way, yeah, and put that maybe as well in large language models. Use it for other things. How to find the best ways, how to find a charging ports, for example, how to best solve some situations in traffic which makes the driving better. Not to speak about autonomous driving in the future, which needs to get lots of space in the car left. Yeah, when you drive in your car, let the car drive. You would like to do some nice gamings and earn some tokens maybe while solving some problems, while you do some interesting tasks in the traffic and so on, and help solving these tasks in a gamification way, earning tokens, and help the others participant in the traffic to manage their tasks in the future, and using then these models. So really interesting possibilities come to mind, and using games or serious games as well, and as well these techniques and mechanics that we can then use. Because I see more and more of these technologies coming into modern industrial components, like what we need for the car. We have lots of computer power we can use as well, and we need more and more computer power, and we need much more sources for data and much more sources as well for other tasks to solve when it comes to that. And therefore, we have a lot of I would say, very willing people to go in some kind of a gamification effect and help collecting data and help making these models better. And then later, of course, using the data and paying for it, and get paid for it. So this is really a very interesting intersection of new business model perspective that we see as well in all of the industry elements. And by the way, not to mention what all the other passengers in the car would like to do while the others are driving. Maybe you can already have components in the car which you use for AI, which you use for solving technology, traffic challenges, and then you have maybe as well some time to do your favorite gaming besides that. So I just wanted to point that here, that these combinations come more and more into play again. However, using the combination again of gamification effects, of AI models that we need in the future, using that data and the monetization and tokenization effects, we're just starting to brainstorm or to begin thinking these new technology products, new business models which can come up. And by the way, new entertainment possibilities, which of course is always some kind of fun when you look into the gaming industry, which is getting more and more interesting for as well the other industry areas.
And just to give a little bit of context to some of our listeners who might be struggling to connect the dots between personal computers and cars, if you take a look at any automobile company, BMW, Mercedes, Audi, and whatnot, you'll notice that vehicles have kind of continuously added much more CPU right to their CAN unit. And so what that means is that they can actually do some pretty remarkable calculations, especially autonomous vehicles. And each car, each brand has slowly but surely transitioned each vehicle into its own media and entertainment center, right? Because the vehicles of the past had no sound systems, had no monitors inside them. So driving was the only task you can really do in a car. But ever since especially over the past 15 years, we see now that each vehicle is not only a personal vehicle, it's also an entertainment center. And now they're also becoming computers, right? And so a lot of them are in many ways likely going to surpass personal computers. And this is exactly what Pan and Peter are talking about. Being able to harness idle CPU and GPU power from edge devices, and then being able to gamify that so that the people are not only willing but interested to explore on how can they contribute to this growing CPU, this growing compute marketplace. In the eyes of the community member, this basically turns you into a mini version of AWS, right? Which is about as big as a vision can get. And I'd love to pause here and throw the ball over at Tomko's court again. I'd love to ask what are some agent-based use cases that you believe would be a great fit for the GameSwift community? Now that we've kind of drilled into the infrastructure play, do you believe that there are any agent-based use cases that the GameSwift community would love to see?
Yeah. So maybe I will begin with what we achieved so far and what we have to offer for both communities. So as Wojtek and Peter said, we would like to use the computer power when it's idle. So we want to allow our community with GameSwift Launcher to host LLMs and expose the features of these LLMs to the both communities and to all the people who would like to use it. And in this process, we have three elements. We have the user with GameSwift Launcher and running the AI agent in the background. We have the Agentverse from Fetch.ai, which is architecture which allows to connect with agent with each other. And of course, we have a Delta V, and Delta V is some kind of web application. So it's an interface to access the features of LLMs exposed to by our community with GameSwift Launcher. And this is what we have so far. I believe that in the future, another great example of using AI agents in gaming industry, it's an area of game testing and balancing. Because I also have a pleasure to work with Star Heroes game, and I know and I'm sure that the development team spent a lot of time on testing the game, because we was actively hearing the community what should be fixed, and also developers spend a lot of time on balancing the game parameters. So where is here the place for agents, you could ask? So in my opinion, AI agents could simulate a wide variety of player behaviors to test game mechanics, identify bugs, balance game difficulty. I think this would be invaluable for developers to ensure game stability and fairness across different skill levels without needing human testers for every scenario. Because, as you probably know, we are all humans, and even the best tester and the best developer make mistakes from time to time. So this area of game testing and balancing with agents running on the hardware of our community members, I think it's pretty interesting and valuable scenario for gaming industry.
As a lifelong gamer myself who's played a lot of Dota, which is a massive online battle arena type of format game, I can personally tell you that I'd love to see agent-based simulations balancing out the game. In games such as League of Legends and in general in massive online battle arenas, it's very difficult to balance out these game parameters because of the variety of and kind of the sheer volume of parameters there is. So I believe that agent-based simulations that effectively help developers balance out parameters is, in my opinion, a perfect use case for agents. And I'd love to ask, I'd love to shift over the kind of the conversation to Pan a little bit. Pan, you mentioned AAA game developers, and gaming has, been kind of a little bit of there's a little bit of an oligopolistic structure. You have these major game developers like Acti Blizzard, who seemingly have these endless budgets, and then indie developers find it quite difficult to kind of breach in. I'm curious, what are some agent-based use cases that you believe would facilitate the emergence of Web3 gaming across kind of the globe and position GameSwift as a potential AAA game developer or an infrastructure provider for other DApp-specific game developers?
Yeah, so when I think about AAA gaming titles, we both know that they require a very powerful PC to operate. Those minimal requirements are not met by 90% of gaming computer users. And facilitating AI engines combined with GSWIFT AI technology, we can facilitate, for example, a cloud gaming for those who cannot afford to purchase high performance computers. That's one of the use cases which come to my mind, and one of the use cases that we are prioritizing in GameSwift. One additional thing which comes to my mind is that if we want to onboard mainstream gamers from AAA games, we need to come up with some killer feature to get them into the Web3. Like you said, AAA games are still not existent into the blockchain technology, but having the launcher, which is allowing to monetize the computing power of your PC, that's the thing. That's something which can approach those mainstream lovers of AAA games as well. One more thing which I want to mention is, since we plan to onboard and to capture a lot of computing power within our launcher, the big challenge is to let's say utilize this power and to match it with people who really need it. That's why, in my opinion, building the centralized marketplace which connect the, let's say, businesses, people who write the AI models and people seeking for someone to host those models, that's a perfect market fit for us, because we are going to aggregate a lot of computing power, and by having a marketplace which, like a Tinder, can match people having computing power with businesses seeking for computing power, that's a use case that we really need, and that's another pillar which we would like to focus on. Probably there are a lot of other use cases around gaming and AAA gaming, but that's first thing which come to my mind.
May I directly comment on that?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
Because this is really very interesting what you just said, because we currently are discussing really as well the application and the implementation of such decentralized marketplaces to offer really some interesting algorithms, some models, or any other things to our developers. So we see here some very interesting similar application areas which you use in the gaming area, where you need to develop, to test, and all that. What we have as well, definitely in the industry. Yeah, we develop all the time algorithms and new products, and you have to test them in and out. And definitely, we not only play with it. Yeah, we need to save lives on the roads for that. So the testing needs to be very thorough, and we are always looking to new ways of testing even better, maybe more efficient, maybe faster, and maybe with much more testers. So why not using a lot of people playing games and testing, by the way, algorithms and developments, what we then later can use in the industry. So exactly, that was one of the cross intersections, what I meant in sector coupling. Using the same, so both our industries, is it gaming, made the AI industry, as well the industrial other sectors, are using the same concepts and the same algorithms and methodologies, and can use it either way interchangeably to do their tasks. And this is one of the huge outcomes of this foundation that we have here, since when onboarding other industry or other partners and other maybe startups and other industry participants, we all learn from each other using these mechanics, made gaming, made AI models, made LLM data marketplace usage, and so on and so on. So this makes a little bit a glimpse of what is the huge potential, what we can see here in the foundation with these different, very interesting, diverse partners that we have here.
Peter, looks like great minds things alike. So I would be more than happy to jump on the call after the X Spaces, because I feel like we are thinking about exactly the same product and utilization of AI within gaming. So yeah, happy to explore further synergies.
And if I may just add to that, so this is why it's so exciting to have you guys, Tom and Pan and GameSwift, and really bring in new industry to really explore these possibilities and to really to enlarge the ecosystem in a new way. Everybody building agents, but then using them for different applications, sometimes different, sometimes even though they look different, but they're actually doing trying to achieve the same goal. So it's really great to see the foundation growing and really the ecosystem growing and giving others new ideas what can be possible when you use agent technologies, and how you can think in a very new different way, right? Combining fun and also industry things, and so it's really I'm just super happy. It's a good start after the summer, with GameSwift and you guys joining the foundation and really bringing these new ideas and new cool things on board.
Well, speaking of AI interactions, I'd love to ask Tomko and Pan, what are the core AI interactions that will massively contribute to the enjoyment and kind of positive reinforcement that gamers worldwide would be thrilled to experience? How can we make games more epic so that more people have fun? And how can we then translate the knowledge we get from that to real world industries?
That's quite the challenge. However, I believe that this is exactly where artificial intelligence can step in to enhance and to improve gaming, let's say, environment and gaming experience. I feel, for me at least, I'm also a hardcore gamer for more than 20 years, and in my opinion, one of the most important features of gaming is immersion. So we are seeking for titles which are immersive, which can feel like the real life, and that's why I believe that having NPCs, having like in-game characters, objects, to let's say facilitate the conversations which are unexpected, which are very flexible. I can imagine that when you speak with NPC, he's not answering. He can basically answer any question which you come up. He can follow up with the conversation that you lead. Right now, there is a direct script when you enter into the conversation with NPC or any object in game. You know what the outcome is going to be, but introducing let's say AI scripts, introducing machine learning, we can make those NPCs to be much more natural, and that can transfer into the very immersive gaming experience.
And certainly a method of revolutionizing the single player experience, given the fact that quite a lot, in fact, all NPCs are hard coded, and giving them a little bit of a mind will certainly open up new frontiers and particularly help with immersion. I've always thought that agents would be able to facilitate in-game trading in games like Diablo 2 and Diablo 3 and World of Warcraft and Lineage, and each of these games has this in-game emergent economy where people use runes or blesses or gems or any other kind of form of currency to barter with one another, right? And they trade items. And we've seen kind of a little bit of a sneak peek that it is possible to connect in-game items with real-life currencies, which is what Diablo 3 did with their kind of real currency item shop, the one they introduced. And agents can help with that because as opposed to having to find who you'd love to trade with, you can simply have the agent tell someone, hey, I have the sword or shield or item, please find someone that's interested in it. Right? And this is effectively next level search and discovery within the game. But any lessons learned in that game can be immediately exported to the real world, which is also incredibly intertwined. And we could kind of overhaul the search and discovery experience within the game, then export it to the real world. I think that there's quite a lot of kind of benefits to be shared. But gaming seemed to be kind of a little bit of a epic way to stress test these agent-mediated economies. And it's a pleasure to see you that you're exploring kind of immersion and that you're exploring not only just the infrastructure play of harnessing idle CPU and GPU, but genuinely contributing to the kind of the immersion and the overall reinforcement that any gamer would get. So in other words, you're making games more epic, which is exactly what gamers would love to hear. I'd love to ask, are there any intentions of further integrating your SDK with Fetch.ai's universal agents in order to streamline the development process? So in other words, do you believe that game developers stand to benefit from AI and AI agents? And this would actually be a question to Tomko, I believe.
Yeah. Of course. Before I answer these questions, I would like to apologize everybody because I have to leave this call because of some private things to do with my family. But before that, of course, I can share my thoughts about integrating SDK, which already is exposing by GameSwift with features provided by Fetch.ai. I'm definitely the person who used the Python libraries from Fetch.ai, as I mentioned before. I'm also responsible for SDK, which we already delivered for Unity and Unreal developers. So as a GameSwift, we have the SDK, which stands for Software Development Kits for game developers, to allow them to use our features related to authentication and authorization, and of course with using the G-Bucks. So G-Bucks is some kind of in-game currency which can be used in games. And I also know that Fetch.ai is going it already have the ability to expose a token feature on the Fetch.ai testnet, and later on the Fetch.ai mainnet. So I believe that using our SDK connected with this token feature will also be very valuable for game developers, because they do not have to spend their time on implementing their own payment mechanism. And the payment mechanism used by them and developed by our developers from GameSwift and from Fetch.ai could be used for such scenario. I also would like to add something from my side about things talk about early with Peter and Wojtek and related to NPC, because one thing came to my mind when I was listening to you guys. So in the gaming industry, we have a term bots. So almost nobody like bots, but maybe we can use let's call it dynamic NPC to make some, let's call them positive bots. And please imagine that these positive bots will act like the agents, and those agents could control NPCs in games, making them more responsive. Because remember, when you are developing a competitive game, you have to provide also a needed amount of players. So these agents could control NPC in games, making them more responsive, adaptive, and realistic. And I think that this would also enhance them immersion by allowing NPCs to react intelligently to player actions and what they do in the game, to cope with environmental changes or other NPCs. And I believe also creating a more dynamic and more engaging game world. So this concept of dynamic NPC with agents, environment, it's really interesting for me personally.
Just to comment on that again, actually, we are already thinking about it. We don't call it bots. I would like to call them minions. Yeah, little minions helping you around you, because we already experience as well with metaverse experiences. So helping supporting the development process, supporting maybe the sales process or the experience process with the products, and there you already have again the intersection of little minions helping you, having access to large language models, giving you much more details on some experience data and basis, and really using the capability that you developed in your gaming architectures and using them directly as well in industrial context. Maybe not only just industrial with products, but maybe as well using them in other corporate contexts, like coming together in meetings and doing some stuff, doing strategic gaming, and to come up to better results in decision processes and all that. So again, the perspectives are endless, and the potential is really that huge that these different technologies can play wonderfully together.
German, it's a pleasure to hear your perspective. It also saddens me to say that I shall have to wrap up, because I believe that your time is quite valuable, and I'm sure you have other commitments to attend to. And rest assured, community members, we shall have a follow-up session. I'd love to sum everything up. The world is becoming more gamified, and gaming is becoming much more realistic. This is the kind of the underlying principle that led to this partnership. We are aiming to facilitate idle CPU and GPU usage, and this would be, let's call it the low-hanging fruit in a sense, or rather this would be the first priority. But there are quite a lot of interesting advancements to be made when combining GameSwift's experience and their overall SDK with Fetch.ai's agent experience and our overall SDK. And I'm sure that both communities can look forward to much more fruitful integrations, and particularly much more product-driven development. that would allow kind of non-gamified industries to introduce much more playful and adventurous dynamics, both within the product creation as well as the product evaluation kind of process, but also give gamers the ability to basically turn themselves into a mini version of AWS. And so it's a bit of a win-win. I'd love to host the next spaces, but for now, I'd love to wish everyone a great day or a great night, depending on where you are in the world. And it's been a pleasure, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Nico. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Peter, and the GameSwift partners. It was great to have you guys, and I'm looking forward to the next session as well, and your development. So let's keep an eye on that, and let's keep in touch.
Great, same for me. Thanks a lot for inviting me.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having us, and looking forward for our further steps.
Thank you, everyone, and have fun.